Hey everybody. I've been working on the last few videos. I've been working on getting animation working for intensity, and it does work. There's one small, I don't know if you would call it a bug. Bug probably isn't the right word for it. It's really more of a incomplete feature. Um, Basically, oh man, I could see it going either way. Like if you worked in a corporate environment, whether you call it a bug or you'd call it like a new feature. Um, but basically, the problem is I built this out so that when you did the animations, it was fairly generic, and that it would be able to deal with things on a very like non-specific way, right? So like basically, I had a generic solution, and then you feed it, and feed it is kind of a layman's term sort of type of thing, but it's more like, I guess if you want to talk in computer lingo, you assert a new feature to it, a new problem to it, and it should be able to solve that problem too, right? So I'm taking, I have a solution, and then I have a problem, and the solution is a generalized solution, so I should be able to take any problem and give it to it, assert it on it, and then it should solve it. And it is working in general, but there's one thing missing in the animations, so that it doesn't have enough. The general solution doesn't have enough code to determine to solve what it wants to solve, and then it doesn't break. And I never know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's kind of a good thing that it doesn't break in the fact for the end user, right? So like if there's an end user and you don't really want things breaking so that they can't just move on and finish up their work and just let us know, hey, by the way, that's broken. But it's kind of a bad thing for the developers because that's how you end up with bugs that just stick around forever. But anyways, so that's kind of philosophical thoughts about it. But the problem is over here, this current intensity is not updating. I believe I believe I have the Z. The Z is, um, yeah. See how the Z starts at 2 and ends at 0, and then along the as the animation progresses, it tells you where it's at. Um, and then, but like if you look at intensity, it doesn't show anything. And I guess ideally what you'd want is it to not break for the user so that the user can continue to use it without, because I mean, really, what's the big deal? You don't want it to have like a complete failure where the application quits running, but it would be kind of nice, I guess, if it broke in the console. So that would give me a hint. Since I have no hint, the first step to figuring out what's going on is probably to do an inspect here, and then like go look at something that is working. And obviously there's no consistency, like what you would expect to to me this is the first step. It's not necessarily guaranteed to be the first step. But so in here in the template, basically a number is being updated. And unfortunately, we don't have any information about what what this number is or where it comes from. We have a table, and the table gets fed a data source, which is shown as object to object. And so I would guess that whatever this data source is feeding it doesn't have the value. So now the next step would be to determine what is the object, what is the component that it is. And it's this app. We could tell the first thing is because it's app animation property. The default when you create a new component is app underscore, and since we did that, we now have a consistent way of determining what it is. So anything below this doesn't have that app for in front of it, so they aren't. So it's not what I'm working on. So uh, I never know exactly how deep to get into these sort of explanations, but oh, I forgot to commit yesterday. Let me do that. Let's see. Yesterday's video was converted. No, animated intensity. Okay. Git commit. That's really a mistake. Let me go look and make sure I don't have any weird console logs. So we know the interface is going to be clean. The two interfaces updates. That is fine. That is fine. Next. That's good. That's good. That's good. So we definitely don't want to put anything in there that we don't want. That's good. That's good. And then last but not least, that looks good. That's good. 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 All right. Git commit -m. That was video 196. And then starts the intensity, light intensity, animation, implementation. All right, so now we're good. Everything's in, it's not pushed. So this is telling us that, hey, we don't have this pushed. I believe I could push this button and it would actually push it out there. Right now, there at GitHub, there's no branch by this name. So I would have to, if I do, like if I say git push, I'll get an error. And it says, you know, I need to run this so that I can put that on there. So that I could, you know, push it up to the branch. I'm not going to do that yet, though. So that would mean that, like, if this computer were to die or somehow the hard drive got corrupted or whatever, I would lose this the work in this branch. So, you know, I think it's highly unlikely that'll happen. Knock on wood, but that's that. Oh my gosh, I just provoked the dogs. They just heard me knock and now they're barking. So anyways, so we know what component we're looking for. I believe I copied it. It was, yeah, app animation property. We searched that. So this is where it's implemented in a template, and then this is where it was implemented on its own. I you know, it's kind of weird that word. So this is the implementation. This is where I built it out, and then this is where I used it, and both of those can be considered implementation. The word implemented makes sense in both contexts. So yeah, it's one of those language things. Our language isn't quite precise enough in this place, and then I noticed on back end, like in .NET, you also have your interface implementation as well. So you can have like 3 different things where the word implementation makes sense. So here we go. We know that in the template we are getting some kind of data source, and that data source is called filtered table data. Okay, so filtered table data, generally whenever I set up something, that means there's a non-filtered version, and that's probably what we want to open. So this is the final thing that's been, like, all of the pieces have gotten that are appropriate have been put into this guy, and then something else, probably table data, is the clean that has everything, not just the ones that are supposed to show up in the table. So the problem is probably in table data. So okay, so this is only for bringing in all the table data. What we need to do is figure out where the data itself, or I guess what we need to do is look at the interface of a table data. And this is why, like, having interfaces is so useful. Okay, so I know that we have ID, name, start, end, and current, and type. So it's probably this current. Wherever this current is being set is probably the issue. Um, so let's we do Alt and left arrow to go back, and then just do a search on current. So there's 20 of them. So unfortunately, I used that word current uh, for something else too. So I'm going to put dot current since it's a property. Okay, so we've knocked it down to 3. And then I wonder if it's like space, no, equals. No. All right. Well, there's only 3 to look at, so let's see. Hopefully, this current table, this current. So let's go back to the. I wonder if it was a variable, like in a no. Well, I've actually gotten kind of used to. Okay. Oh, I used the wrong one. And then single quote. Nothing. All right. Let's go back up. This might have. Okay. So yeah, displayed columns is current. That makes sense. Then. Oh, so this was actually even in the same. That this interface is specific to this thing. Okay. So here. I wonder why. Okay, I did do a search on this and single quote, and it did not find it before, but here it is. So here is where the start value is set. The current value is set. It's equal to this value. So okay, so I have a special code for if it's look at, then it's going to look at this item as a camera interface. If it's background, otherwise it's going to see it as a light interface, and item is going to be equal to item. So I think that's probably fine. That probably, like, it's probably determining the right one. Value, target, value. Okay, so target. Where does target come from? Okay, so this is the current, whatever it's finding in here already. And then prop, item, this property name as animation property descriptor. So this is probably the thing I want to look at. So we're going to do console.log. And I'm just going to put the word prop in there, comma, and prop. I usually try to put like a name over here so that it's something I can filter on if I happen to work someplace where they do a lot of console logs. And then when you set this up, you go in the console, I can say, just show me things that say prop. And then the noisiness of other console logs are gone. So that can be very helpful. So I want to set the intensity to, let's say, 10. So we're not going to be able to see anything because there's nothing that reacts to light in here, but it still exists. You just can't see it. And so X position isn't changing. And then intensity. And we're not getting anything there. Okay, so that's a bummer. Let's see if we can get to it. So what is this? This is animation. I don't think this is where we want to be. Let's see, where is what line is that on? Go back here. So this is line 269. See, is this the same? Okay, yeah, this is where we have, so it kind of seems like we're not even getting here. Let's go there and see if it stops. It doesn't, okay, so it doesn't look like we're even getting here to update. Where does update get called? Let's go up here since we're in here. wonder. Oh, okay. So this probably only happens when we're this probably okay. So this get current is probably the thing that makes sense. It probably only happens when you actually make a change. So let's hit this guy. We have a debug in there, but we're still not stopping anywhere. So I'm guessing, okay, let's do get end. And maybe we have to go somewhere else and then come back. No. Get start, get name. So I'm guessing this is getting called directly from. See, update. Okay, so that table is getting updated on a regular basis, right? Because if I go to, I don't know, let's just play around with this here. One. Okay, so that update got called. We have our item. And then see this intensity is there, and then okay, so let's go ahead and step through, step over. Else if background. Okay, that doesn't even make any sense. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, if look at in item. So I'm saying, hey, if look at's in the item, otherwise if background. Okay, so that code is messed up. So that is going to be on line 261. And it's of the TypeScript. Yeah, so background's always going to come back positive. So I don't know what my intention was. I'm saying that so item is being set as a scene interface, which is going to be very, very confusing. So the idea was that if item, if I think it's supposed to be if this item and I don't know why I can't see item. Oh, because I'm not in the debugger. Okay, so if this item has a background, then it must be a scene because scene is the only one. Otherwise, it's a light, a mesh, an item, or a mesh interface. I do not think this is definitely a bug that I need to fix, but I don't think it's going to solve our problem. So if it's in item, then this is a scene interface. Otherwise, the item is that. The value is going to be target value, which I'm guessing the target value is null or something like that right now because it's not initially set up. Oh, are we not running? Let's say 2. What are you doing? Anyways, I guess. So this isn't going to fix our problem, but this is a bug that I just happened to notice while we're in here. So I'm going to hit save. Let's let this thing reload. Console.log update. Okay, so when we somewhere, so let's see. Okay, so when we create the table data. So I'm being a little bit ADD because I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't even think about this other thing until I validate that that other fix makes sense. Um, but exists for look at default to 0. Okay, so I added special code for this current is equal to 0, and then this set of things where it's looking in the sub property, it's looking for that sub property name, which is blank. So I'm guessing that this is our problem. So I'm just going to add another console log in there. And we'll come back to that after we validate that the other fixed that thing. Setting current. All right. Let's wait for this to rebuild. Create the light. Add the light. Edit the form. Take this guy. Make this, well, it'll automatically do that. All right. So now we should have some kind of console logs, I would think. No? It's animated. Go to animation. All right. Let's go to, it doesn't really even matter, but let's go to, all right. So this is our prof. Oh, so that should be interesting. Let's see. So I want to go to, the thing I wanted to make sure was that this code here gets called. I don't want that called, that code to get called when I do an update. So let's go for, yep, that got called. It basically said, hey, this is a light interface or a mesh interface. So now the thing is the property is, okay, so that's all good. And so we've sort of validated that. Now let's go ahead and go over to the interface itself. I mean, to the intensity where the problem exists. And let's see, did we get, so it's going from 1 to 0. So let's go ahead and clear this. And let's leave. That is interesting. Now that broke. Let's see if it recovers. So it didn't really kill everything, but it was very upset that I asked for blue, and I don't even think that has a blue. I don't think, yeah, it doesn't seem like it should have even gotten there, because all I have is a light, and I don't believe that red, green, and blue were ever set up for light. So that's going to be another bug that I need to figure out. And I am just like bleeding. Okay. So, okay, so anyways, so up here is where we do all kinds of crazy code, and then I end up at else. So let's see if we, okay, we're there. Okay, so basically this isn't going to find anything, right? Because this is my 3 object, and then my 3 objects property name is, let's see what it gives us. Let's go over here to the console. Let's run this. Intensity. So that's good. That's exactly what we want. But the problem is this subproperty name. Oh, did not end up in the debugger. Sources. This subproperty name is the problem. So I'm going to expand this. Console, and then there's that. See, it's blank, so it's trying to get data from a blank spot. But what I really want is So let me copy this. I actually have to go. I have some. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I have to go, but let me at least get us to where we know what to do tomorrow. So three object property name. Did not copy the right thing. I'm looking in the wrong thing. I wanted to go here to sources. So this guy right here. See, I think that is working beautifully. See, that is what I want. That's the number I want. What I don't, but see, what I'm asking for is this. And that's because like every other thing has a layer, a subproperty layer. Um, and that's going to be like, yeah, it's like, I don't know what the hell. Gosh, okay, I keep not using the source. This right here. See, it's like undefined. So basically what I want to do is add some code in here that basically, and this is, what line is this? On line 233, an additional thing. And this does not surprise me, right? This was absolutely expected. Because, you know, like, see, this, I thought I'd be able to come up with a generic solution here, but I can't. So, because everything is just unique. So I need to add, like, if the property name is intensity, and this dot three property name. So I don't even care. If it's intensity, then current is equal to that. So we just proved. Now let's get rid of this, run it, and we'll just see. All I can do, all I have time to do is check to see if it works, and then I need to hop in the shower because we have some friends coming in from out of town. But let's see, did this reload? Yeah. So basically, light, add light, show edit form, and then animated animations. Okay, so this is a bug here that I need to fix tomorrow if this other bug is fixed. That red, I don't think red, green, and blue should be showing up here. And I believe that that is going to be just a configuration change. But anyways, and there we go. I think this is exactly what was expected. I do think that the code base in general is getting bigger and more complicated. And bugs are harder to fix, and features are harder to add. And I do not think that that's anything problematic with the architecture. I think when the architecture is problematic is when you, at the end of your fix, when you look in here and you see what the problem was, and you see what the changes were. When those changes are, you can't make any sense. Like, you're making a change that fixes things, and you really can't explain why that fixes things. That's the sign of a bad architecture. That means that you just have unintended consequences. Like when I can look at this and say, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's not if this bug makes sense, right? We know that we don't want to say when background is true. We want to say when the item, if it has a background, then it's a scene interface. And if it doesn't have a look at and it doesn't have an item, then it's probably a mesh or a light interface, which is not true because spotlights, I think, do have a look at. So we'll need to change that. But that change makes sense, right? There's no thing like, I don't know, I changed like 5 things in 5 places, and and now it's working. That is not the situation here. So let me close that and that. So probably the biggest reason I ever started doing this series is because I just feel like there's a lot of massive misconceptions in the way things are done. I think that 90% of the people who write and do things like with different systems like agile and things like that that talk about how things work in software are they don't write software. They've never written software. They're just like out making things up and imagining things and then talking like they're experts. um, and I want people to see like how actual code is written by actual coders. So that's my take on all this, and you know, I do think that we'll get back into a rhythm where just start building stuff and it all works and everything. But we're like in a growing pain situation, and that's what happens. Like you kind of get to a certain size, then you have a bunch of growing pains, and then all of a sudden you can scale back up and you get to a bigger size. Anyways, I've got to go. We definitely need to figure out why lights are showing um, why if all you have is a light you're seeing um, look at and things like that. I believe I'd coded or you're it's trying to process lights for like things that it doesn't have, or maybe I don't know. We got to figure out what that is all about. So just a quick thing. I really don't have time for this, but I'm gonna do it anyways because I don't know. That's what I do. Add light, show edit form, go in here and animate this thing. Go over here. I think that the problem is that these others shouldn't show up, but maybe that's nothing. Hit green and it breaks. I don't. It's saying that hey, I can't find a color, and actually I thought that they did have colors. So, anyways, yeah, we got to figure out what that's all about. Fortunately, it's not a blocking bug. Um, like it continues to work itself out. Uh, this is kind of like what I was like at the beginning of this video. I was like, I kind of wish it had a breakage in the console, but I don't want it to break in the runtime. Anyways, bye. Happy coding, everybody.